from Beaten Jeans. Today we're interviewing Angie, and Angie had her gastrectomy 5.5 years ago, just about 5.5 years ago. And she also had a bilateral mastectomy using the tram flap method, which I am so curious to know. So we're inviting her in right now. There she is. Hi, Angie.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
How are you? I'm going to turn my volume up.
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Finally made this happen, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
I know. Thank you for all of the rescheduling drama.
That's okay. I had COVID like that week prior, so I get it. So
yeah. Good. We're done with that now.
Yeah. Well, us too, I hope.
Good. Where are you coming from? Where do you live?
I live in Philadelphia, PA.
Awesome.
On the East Coast.
Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming and talking and sharing your story with us. So you are a fellow CDH1er?
I am.
Okay. And you had your gastrectomy. I was kind of trying to search through your Instagram, and it looks like you had your gastrectomy 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago.
Just a little over 5 years. I hit 5 years in September.
Okay. And what drove you to have your gastrectomy? How did you know that you carried the CDH1 mutation?
Somebody from my father's side had contacted me through social media. We had no contact whatsoever, probably since I was about 2 years old, and somebody had found me on social media and sent me a message about the family history of CDH1. I then went to my doctor, who referred me to my insurance company, believe it or not, because he didn't know what to do with me, because nobody really knows about it. Like, if you know about it, then you know about it. But if you don't, you don't. And my doctor just simply didn't. So my insurance company basically told me I needed to find like a genealogist, I guess. And I ended up at University of Pennsylvania Hospital and was tested right before my 40th birthday, and found out that I was positive with the gene. And my family, who I don't have contact with here, apparently also used the same hospital. So my gene counselor recognized the last name,
wow, my
maiden name, and knew of my family and knew the history of how many family members had the gastric cancer and also had breast cancer.
That's very convenient.
Right. Even though because of the HIPAA, they weren't allowed to like tell me like exact, but they pretty much told me that my chances of having, the diffuse gastric cancer was pretty much around like 85%, based off my family history. And of course, not knowing this and not knowing any family members, I thought it was all insane,
Right. Are you and what? Yeah.
Right. I know. I'm like,
I know this
to live
is true.
without my stomach. You want me to like, have my stomach removed? Like to me, it was crazy, And then when you Google it, there really wasn't much when you Google it. You see a lot of things like overseas, but not too much here in the States. So I kept thinking like, this is craziness. I even went back to my doctor, and my doctor was like, what? He was even like, this is crazy too. But with Penn, they ended up having me do some endoscopies, and they did some other tests, just to, I guess. And everything kept coming up negative. Every scan I had, every test I had, and now I'm in a surgeon's office who still feels like I should prophylactically remove my stomach. So I took like a few months. I asked him, I said, can you give me the summer to like think about this? And, I'll get back to you. We'll talk on it. And he said, I'll give you 3 months. He goes, I'm putting it in my assistant's calendar, and if I don't hear from you, I'm going to have her reach out. Well, needless to say, she ended up reaching out to me. And then we ended up, I decided to do it. I'm a mom. I have children. I have a family, and I had decided at that point to go and have my stomach removed prophylactically. When the pathology came back, thank God I did, because I had the start of stomach cancer and did not know it. I had 11 spots in my stomach. So I was actually having some issues, but they thought it was my gallbladder like the year prior. And my doctor had suggested that I had my gallbladder removed. Well, I had my gallbladder removed and I was worse. I was like more sick than I was prior to having my gallbladder out. So
Can I ask you about that? Because I'm having
Yeah.
gallbladder issues. What, like, were you having the spasms and under the cage, or what were you experiencing?
Well, I was having a hard time with food.
Okay.
Anything that was like oily or creamy, deep fried, dairy, like that type of stuff. If I ate it, it just kind of, it would give me such pains and I would immediately have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And, you know, everything that I was describing, it sounded like gallbladder issues.
Right. They were attributing it to that rather than your
Exactly.
stomach. Okay.
Right. Because at that time we didn't know about it. There was no history. I didn't know my history. Even the surgeon that was going to remove my gallbladder didn't feel like he needed to remove it, but like he was asking me the series of questions and he was like, he goes, it's weird. He goes, based off all your scans and your x-rays and your ultrasound, he goes, I don't think you need your gallbladder out. He goes, but everything you're saying to me is like somebody who needs to get their gallbladder out immediately, you know?
Right.
So within that month, I think I had my gallbladder taken out and I was supposed to be better. And I was like 10 times worse.
Wow.
It was like everything I was eating, everything bothered me. Like I didn't want to leave my house. That's how bad it was. And like I had dropped like a ton of weight. And then it was weird. Within a couple of months, I ended up getting this message from a family member about the gene mutation.
Oh my
And
gosh.
after sitting with my surgeon, and the surgeon told me when he does the gastrectomy, he automatically removes the gallbladder when he does the gastrectomy. It's just it's part of what he does. And he, you know, and I was like, well, I already had mine removed. And he was like asking me like, you know, why and all these questions. And like the look on his face was kind of like, okay, you know. Well, after when the pathology came back, he goes, I didn't want to say it then. He goes, but I had a feeling you didn't need your gallbladder taken out. I had a feeling all your issues was because you had, you know, the start of stomach cancer and did not know it, you know.
Right. So you were stage 1A?
Yes.
Or, okay. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness is right. Yes.
Yeah.
And when Penn was doing your endoscopies preoperatively, how many biopsies were they taking?
The thing that gets sent down is a 50 prong, and they were doing it in several different areas of the stomach. It's
like a scope with 50 prongs on it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
I've never heard of that.
Each one that goes down is basically like taking like 50 samples at a time.
Oh, wow. So probably over 100 then, right?
Probably, yeah. Probably well over 500, you know, to be honest. I mean, they hit different spots inside the lining of the stomach, as far as I know.
I've never heard of that type of a scope before.
No.
That's very interesting. What is the hospital?
University of Penn. It's in Philadelphia. It's in University City.
And your doctor's name?
Dr. Roses, Robert Roses.
Roses.
Okay. That's just so wild to me that your family that you have not been in contact with was also going to that same hospital.
Yeah. Well, probably because a lot of them are still within the city of Philadelphia as well. You know, they're from Philadelphia. I'm still in Philadelphia. Actually, my father's remarried and had another child with a second marriage, and asked his son at the end of last year to find me. He ended up having stomach cancer and passed away, but he wanted to find me and speak to me prior to him passing. So he was able to, you know, we both had that peace. He found me and I was able to talk to him. So I think I met him, and like 20 days later, he like passed away. So at least we both kind of got that peace and closure, you know. But at the same time, I also got to see what stomach cancer looks like when it's at, you know, what it can do. And it is horrible.
So when you saw your dad, you had already had your gastrectomy?
Yes.
Okay. And then your brother, does he have CDH1?
No. He was tested after his father passed away, or our father passed away, and he does not have it. I have two children. My oldest son was tested immediately after me because he was of age. He does not have it. My youngest son, he's 17 now, but when he turned 16, we actually kind of fought to get him tested early. So we found out that he was positive at the age of 16. You know, and our reasonings for finding out is I feel like I didn't have enough time to get used to it. You know, I kind of found out that I was positive and had to get my stomach removed. It was like a whirlwind, you know, within a year. And mentally, it did not do well with me my first couple of years. And I felt like if any one of my children somebody to talk to, and start screening, you know, immediately, you know, whenever they could, you know, Justin will actually start screening at the age of 18. He is with CHOP, which is the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They have an excellent predisposition, I think it's called predisposition cancer department. So we meet with them. Like we just scheduled, you know, his yearly visit with them now. But they also gave him a psychiatrist, and he's been doing because of COVID. He does Zoom with the psychologist at CHOP. So there's some things that, you know, maybe he doesn't want to talk to me about, that maybe he wants to talk to somebody else about, you know, feelings on things. But he seems to be handling it pretty well so far.
Oh, that's such a great idea for you.
Yeah. Only because I felt like I had such a rough road at the beginning of it after the surgery. I was basically listed as failure to thrive for a good 9 months afterwards. I was having a hard time with eating and digestion and keeping things down. And my body weight had actually dropped down to about 109 pounds, I believe. I ended up being put on TPN for a while. I really struggled for the first 2 years. And my fear is that my youngest son saw it firsthand. You know, my oldest was a college student. He wasn't there as often as my youngest one was. I mean, he would witness me, you know, vomiting in the car. You know, like I thought, I'm scaring the crap out of this kid, and I'm not even trying to, you know. And I thought, oh my God, like if he has this, like I want him to know that, you know, this isn't the way it has to be. This isn't the way it is, you know. And there's people to talk to, and I wanted him to deal with the mental part of it prior to going through with the surgery, if that's what he decides to do, you know.
Good. Were they ever able to figure out why you had those struggles in the beginning? Was it the way they put your anatomy, or just
well, it was a few things. My connection, when it healed, it actually, and it's nothing my surgeon did. It's, you know, your body heals differently. Everybody heals differently. But my connection actually healed on an angle, the way the skin formed and the way the tissue formed. So I was having a hard time passing food through that angle. So I had to have a few dilations to help open that up. I was also experiencing reflux, like all day, all the time. So it was causing me to, I kept feeling like something was stuck constantly. And it made me not want to eat.
Right.
Everything I was eating, I was getting reflux after. I was gagging on it. I call it foamies, you know, where you like start like regurgitating and stuff. Like it's like a spit or like a mucus almost. And that gags you as well, you know. Right. I think it was just that, and mentally I just didn't know how to deal with it. Right. I really think a lot of that, you know, is part of it.
Did you have anybody to talk to that you knew that had gone through it? Like, did you connect with your family before doing it?
No, I did not. And afterwards I sought on my own, you know, psychologist, you know, and I was seeing them for a while, just somebody to talk to. Even though they didn't understand it, they still kind of made me feel less, I don't even know the word I'm looking for. I think I felt like I was never going to get better, that there was no hope. And I felt like talking to my family and my friends that I was like probably wearing them down. And I was I was sick of hearing myself.
Right.
You know, and I was like, I need to talk to somebody that's their job.
Right. You want to be like you didn't want to be a burden to the family.
Right. You know, and it was like everywhere I went, I felt like I was the subject, you know, of conversation, you know, how you doing? What's going on? You know, and I was just so sick of myself, you know, and so I think that was also affecting me because I was hiding a lot of things and not talking about a lot of things as well. And it's another reason why I wanted my son to get, you know, some help beforehand.
Absolutely.
I wanted him to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah, so important.
And even my NP at my surgeon's office, I remember like going to her, like crying. I would text her, I would call her like in tears, like this is nuts. Like you told me that I was going to have this done and I was going to live a normal life. I'm like, this isn't normal. I'm like, this isn't even a life, you know? And I'd say probably around like 2 years after I had it, she was still in school and she was going to, you know, further her education, and she's actually a doctor now. But her final project was kind of like us in a way, the patients at the office. So she formed a support group with patients that, not just CDH1, but anybody that was having like a total gastrectomy. So we used to meet, I think it was like once a month. At the hospital, and it was people that, you know, any patients that had already had it done and patients that were going to be having it done or thinking about having it done. And she would invite whoever wanted to come, and people that were thinking about it could talk to us, and the people that had already had it done had other people to talk to.
Right.
I formed some great friendships from that group, people that I still talk to, you know, even message, you know, for other things too, you know, some help and some advice. You know, it's nice. I wish I would have had that prior. Yeah. I'm glad I have it now. And I'm also glad that patients that are going to be having the surgery also have that. Unfortunately, with COVID though, we kind of stopped from what I understand that she's going to pick it up. Even after like her grade was turned in and the project and all that was done, she was still continuing to do it, and she still wants to do it, which is nice.
So do you feel like at that 2-year mark when you started going to those meetings that was sort of like your turnaround?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And it was like a mental thing too.
Probably. It was, yeah. It made me feel like I wasn't alone.
Right.
Even though we all had different struggles, and there was people that had no struggle. You know, but there was other people that were like, oh my God, you get that too? And I was like, yes, like I'm normal, like not really normal, but I'm normal. Yeah.
And they probably had like tips and tricks for you, right? To make like the symptoms be better if they experienced.
Yeah. And, you know, avoiding certain things, and, you know, there was a lot of things that I didn't think of where, you know, somebody might've said something to me and I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. Or like, I would say something, or like we even learned like foods and shared different protein drinks that we were doing, shared some recipes, shared like dinner and, you know, like that type of stuff, like food ideas, snack ideas, stuff like that. And it was good information for people that didn't have the gastrectomy yet either. You know, you could see they would come with a family member, you know, and the family member would take notes and stuff. So it was nice.
Wow, what an amazing doctor to do that for you guys.
Yeah. It's actually also what led me to have the double mastectomy. I think I was so preoccupied with my health and trying to get better from the gastrectomy that I was just doing the preventative care for the breast side of it. I was switching off every 6 months. You know, I would do my mammogram and then I would do the MRI. MRI every 6 months, switch it off. And I mean, anybody who's had the breast MRI knows it's horrible. It really is. It's a horrible experience. You're in a horrible position and it just stinks.
Yeah.
And I remember like sitting there complaining, and one of the women was like, wait, you didn't have a double mastectomy yet? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I've been doing preventative. She's like, so let me get this straight. You had your stomach removed to prevent that type of cancer. She's like, but you're sitting on this one. And I was like, wow, I didn't really think of it in that way, you know? And, you know, and another woman kind of chimed in and she's like, oh yeah, we used the same surgeon. And I was like, well, where are they out of? Well, here, the same surgeon was also out of University of Penn. So she had given me, you know, this doctor's information, and I really thought I was going to walk in there and talk to her, and I was going to walk out and think about it, you know, and I didn't want to do implants. I also didn't want to go flat, you know, because even though I was screening, I was still doing my homework, you know, as far as implants. And I was like, I'm going to take something out of my body and then put something in that could potentially also give me problems too at the same time. So I just felt like I wasn't prepared to make that decision yet. So when I walked in this office, I was like intending on just hearing her out and continuing my pre-screenings, you know, doing all that stuff. And after I went there and I talked to her, I didn't know that there was options where you didn't have to do implants. I ended up doing a procedure that's called tram flat. So they removed, I mean, I had children, so even though like I'd lost a lot of weight, a lot of women know that they get that little pouch no matter what after having some babies. And then after losing all that weight, it was like even more of a pouch. So she was able to basically remove my midsection and create, you know, implants of my own, you know, fat and muscle.
That is so cool.
I know. I'm so excited to talk to you about this. I want to know
Yeah.
more.
There is such a risk with implant illness, right?
Yes, and that was a fear of mine. I was like, I'm already having issues as it is, and I'm just starting to feel better. Am I really going to put something far in my body and risk having even more issues, more problems, more surgeries? I was like, I just wasn't feeling it, you know, and I did not know that there was other options out there for breast implants.
I didn't know either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Especially after gastrectomy.
So she's removed your abdominal, it's like skin and tissue, and placed it in your breast. Do you have feeling there now since it's your own skin tissue?
I don't know. I every once in a while, like I'll get like some sensation like on the sides or something. But no, I don't. They took everything out on the inside and then basically filled it up with.
So it's like fat and muscle, or what? What is it?
It's fat, from what I understand.
Okay,
They've moved all the fat from the midsection.
Is inside? Do they have to make a pouch out of something
Did
synthetic?
they use expander?
They said that there's a possibility that they might have to use like a mesh, but she said that I did not have to have that option. She said there was no mesh needed. So, yeah.
And what does your scarring look like on your breast? Is it still just a small incision on the bottom?
Actually, the incision is around my top of my nipple.
Okay.
So you can't even see it.
Not really. I mean, unless like I pointed out to you, like there is, you know, like slight scarring, but it's circular around the top of each nipple. Because I did keep my nipples. I did do that. So, so no, there's no cuts underneath or anything like that. It's pretty much like moons at the top of each one.
Wow, that is so cool.
And what is the recovery like? Because you're having to recover from your breast surgery, but also your abdominal surgery.
My midsection, right? So I think, well, I was out of work for 2 months, but I probably didn't feel myself or better, probably closer to like the 6-month mark, like probably I'd say. But even just like any type of implant or anything like that, you don't feel like yourself really until like I'd say like a year mark. That's like they still like an implant. It takes a while for it to really take like the shape that it's going to be and to relax. After I had it done, I was actually a little shocked because I was like, oh my God, what did I do? Did you get bigger to begin with? Yes. And from losing weight, I was like what she would say, like a deflated A. But because of like, I still had good nipple placement, so I was a candidate for the way that they were able to cut around my nipple because they didn't have to move it. But now I am pretty much between like a C, almost a D. So, but when you first come out, it's like these two big, huge rocks.
Oh, they're swollen.
Yeah, fluid and
you know, I woke up from surgery and I was in like, and I looked down and I was like, oh my God, what did I do?
Or like, I had that once. Oh my gosh.
I was like, wow. The initial shock. And now it's, you know, they've relaxed they're going to age though, like normal breast would age. It's not like, 100% like an implant where it's going to keep its shape the entire time. As a woman ages, they relax more.
That's great.
I do
That's
too.
so good.
Yeah. So I'm very happy.
Probably feel natural too.
They do. They do. Yeah. It definitely doesn't, they're not hard like an implant. It definitely feels like a normal natural breast to me.
And you probably don't have the rippling with the implants like you get.
Nope.
What is it called? Flap surgery?
Tram flap.
Tram flap. Okay. Interesting.
Do you have to do screening still because you kept your nipples? No.
So she told me I don't have to do mammograms or anything like that. She said, if I feel anything abnormal or, develop any type of like lump or anything like that somewhere, then they would do like a screening for me. But no, I don't have to get anything done.
Wow. And what is the name of the breast surgeon?
Dr. Lisa Wu.
Oh, Wu. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And she's also out of University of Penn.
Wow. Did you have any, when they removed your tissue, did you have any?
Your pathology.
Your pathology, yeah.
What did your
I didn't have cancer, but I had what they're calling LCIS in both breasts, which they say is abnormal cell growth, which leads to breast cancer. So at some point in my lifetime, I probably would have had breast cancer, but who knows at what age. But either way, once again, I definitely did the right thing.
And did you have a family history of breast cancer, or was it mostly just stomach?
My father lost a sister to breast cancer, but when she had passed from breast cancer, it was prior to the family knowing about the gene mutation. So they actually don't know if it was linked to the CDH1.
Right. Okay. Wow.
So how many years ago was your breast surgery?
2 years ago, December.
2?
2.
Okay. So, wow. And how are you feeling now, almost 5.5 years after your gastrectomy, with all those struggles? Are you feeling like you are able to get along okay? I
do. Yes. I mean, I still have some struggles, but I think that's just going to be my life. Sometimes I think all of us have, when we eat something, some digestion pain every once in a while. If I eat too much sugar, dumping, it's still a job. I feel like, maintaining my diet. But it's definitely gotten a lot easier to maintain and to handle than it was in the beginning. I know my sugar limits. I know when I need to eat. I know what it feels like when I haven't eaten in a while. So the only thing I really struggle with, to be honest, is water.
Yeah.
I have a hard time drinking water. I used to be a really big water drinker, and I have a hard time getting fluids in. So I try to do it in other ways. I'm terrible with coffee. I drink way too much coffee, which you have to do. But I've tried to, incorporate low sugar juices, some decaf teas, stuff like that to help keep myself hydrated.
You know what I just saw the other day? Because I was just thinking, like, coffee's a diuretic, right? So it might dehydrate you. Have you seen those reishi mushroom coffees?
No.
Maybe that would be something worth trying, because it's like health. It's like the benefits of the mushrooms without the caffeine, but it's still.
I'll have to look that up.
I wonder what it tastes like.
Yeah.
It's just like coffee.
Okay.
Like creamy coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That might be something to look into. I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, I used to put sugar in my coffee years ago, but I just drink coffee with like a little bit of half and half. That's something else I've gotten, and
Yeah.
You learn,
and then how about your
love? You don't have to give everything up,
Right.
It's just moderation, because I'm a sweet eater too. And I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to eat sweets again. But again, you can eat it. It's just in, moderation and learning your limits, right? Little bits, it's nice. And my kids are really good with it. Like we go out to like a restaurant and I'll like order a dessert, and like right away they'll be like, because they know all I need is just a taste of it, like just a taste, and I'm good.
We're going to take the rest for you, Mom.
Right, yeah.
Does Penn the hospital where you had your surgery, do they have a program where they follow you now and do your lab draws and have a nutritionist and do
Yes.
like your DEXA scans?
Yes, I do everything through Penn. They're great. They take the struggle out of the appointments for me. They automatically put things in for me, and if I'm not calling making the appointment, somebody's calling me. So they're very good at following you and making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do.
And how are you?
My lab draws, I don't have to go there, but they have like an app. It's on my phone, and the doctors can just send me my scripts, and I can go to my primary. My primary will, do my blood draw for me and send the results to them. So I don't have to drive because it is a far drive for me. It's like a 45-minute in rush hour traffic. So I don't have to go there for everything, but it's all kind of still connected.
Right. That's good. And how are all of your scans and lab values?
So far, so good. I always say, I feel like when they scan for things, sometimes they find other things when they scan. So my scan last year actually was showing, because it's another thing with women and, our absorption and our health and vitamin intake. Bone health is a big thing with us women, after the gastrectomy. They were seeing some shadowing in my left hip socket, the head, the ball of it. So I had a lot of tests in this last year to figure out what was going on with me. They thought it was maybe the start of osteoporosis, and then they thought it was osteonecrosis. Here to come found out that I was born with hip dysplasia, and I didn't know it. But at the same time, I still have been developing some bone lesions. So they're kind of watching them. They're watching my blood work a little bit more with my D and my calcium. Because I wasn't supplementing calcium. I have a history of kidney stones that is hereditary. It's not by diet. So they didn't want me supplementing calcium because they felt my body was already producing enough calcium to begin with. But I also haven't made a kidney stone in over 5 years. So now they're like, okay, maybe your body's not producing as much as it used to. So now they're kind of playing around with me during my calcium intake as well. I'm also seeing a physical therapist to help with the hip dysplasia. So it's every time you think you're okay, it's something else. But thank God it's not something, major.
Right.
But it did bring attention but it brought attention to bone health because that's not something I really put thought into. 45 going on 46, I'm perimenopausal. So that's, on top of the gastrectomy and being perimenopausal. Bone health is, something that really isn't discussed too much with gastrectomy and women.
Right.
I am, and I have been for over a year now. I was working with a personal trainer. I've been doing weight training, which is also good for bone health. I also think it helped increase my appetite too, working out.
I know, and I've seen some of your posts about your workouts, and you're lifting pretty heavy.
Yeah,
that's really impressive.
It took me a long time to get to that too. It took me a long time to get to that. When I first started, my personal trainer is also a very good friend of mine. When I first started with her, thank God it was with a friend that I didn't feel dumb. I was lifting 3-pound weights, when I first started, I could barely lift things. I was so weak from losing all that weight and not taking care of myself. And, my nutrition was off, and she really helped me get to that point where I'm at now. And I think the working out has definitely helped with my mental health plus my physical health too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's forced me to eat more protein as well.
Good. How many calories do you eat a day, do you think?
I'm bad at that. I don't really keep track. I keep more track of my protein. I try to eat 165 grams of protein at least a day.
That is a lot.
It is, but when you're working out, you're burning. So, and it also helps with recovery.
Right.
First time I worked out with her, I couldn't move for 3 days. I couldn't even walk down my steps, and that's when she was like, how much are you eating? Like, how much are you intaking? Like, what's your protein like? And I was telling her how much, and she like whipped out the calculator and did like how much I weighed. She's like, yeah, you're not eating enough. That's why you feel like, you do. Increase the protein, And ever since I started increasing the protein, I'm really bad at calorie counting. I try to eat 5 to 6 times a day. And I try to incorporate protein in every time I eat. And if I don't, I try to do like at least a protein shake in between. But yeah, I'm not a good person. I'll admit that I'm not a good person to say.
I feel like it's hard. I feel like it would just be like constant writing.
Yeah. In the beginning, I was writing. My nutritionist and my dietitian, I both was making me do like a food diary. Where I had to literally write down like, how much something weighed or how many ounces something was that I was eating. I would like take pictures of things so I could remember. So I was doing like a food journal basically. Right. And then when I would go and sit with them, they could kind of like go over, and then not only was I writing that down, but then I was writing down what effect it had on me. Did it give me dumping? Did I vomit afterwards? Or, stuff like that, did it sit okay with me? So I think just from doing that, I kind of got an idea of what I can eat and what I can't eat. And I just go with that,
Right. Yeah. Well, you're obviously don't need to count your calories now because you look great. Yeah. You're feeling great.
Yeah. Feel great.
You look more fit than I am.
So good.
Trust me, there's days I don't feel it, but I'm good now. I'm around 100 and I fluctuate between 135 and 140 pounds now.
How tall are you?
5'7".
5'7". Okay, so you got down to 109 at your lowest.
Yeah, I looked like I walked in for a follow-up visit. I think I was a little more than 6 months out from surgery. And I walked in for a follow-up. I knew I wasn't doing good. I walked in knowing I wasn't doing good. Yeah. And the NP came in first and she looked at me and, you could just tell by the look on her face. And then the doctor walked in and the look on his face. He's like, I can't send you home. He's like, we need to.
Really? They admitted you?
They admitted me right from that appointment.
And they gave you the feeding tube?
The dilation?
Well, they wanted to, I hadn't had the dilations yet. They were more worried about getting my nutrition back up. My blood work was completely off. Everything was insanely low. He didn't even know how I was getting up and going to work every day. Right. He had no clue how I was doing it. He was like, I can't believe you're functioning. That's how bad my numbers were. Wow. And they were talking about doing surgery and putting the feeding tube back in me. I was like, I'll die before I do that again. I hated that feeding tube. It was the worst. I said I couldn't eat when I was on it. And I said, now you want me to eat? You want to put a tube back in me? Like, it doesn't make sense. So what they did was they put a PICC line in and did TPN. So they did intravenous feedings. So I spent, and that's something that they have to regulate because of sugar. So I spent another week in the hospital so they could regulate the TPN. And then they sent me home with that. I had a TPN nurse that would come every so many days and clear it out and do all new dressings. I would get a TPN delivery once a week. And each night I would set up the TPN and do an overnight feeding. And it helped me to basically get the nutrition I needed intravenously while I was learning how to eat again at the same time.
That's a great little tool right there.
It is, but it's not... it's dangerous at the same time because the way the line goes in your arm, it comes up and it's very close to your heart. So if there's any type of infection, it's very dangerous. They really try to use that as a last resort. So it's not something that they really like to do, but it was something that they probably felt that they needed to do or put the feeding tube, Yeah. No, I didn't like the feeding tube. The feeding tube, when you're on it, it fills you. And when you wake up, because I did overnight feedings on it. And then when I would wake up the next day, I felt full. I was so full to the point where I was descended out and it fills you up. And if you haven't gone to the bathroom or if you can't go to the bathroom, when you're eating, I felt like there was no place for it to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no appetite. Well, I mean, not that I did, but it made me even less of an appetite. It made me feel nauseous, and it made me feel like every time I would eat something that I was going to vomit it because it wasn't going down like it should. I felt like it was like sitting in my esophagus.
Oh, that's horrible.
It is. It was terrible. And I was like, you're defeating me trying to learn how to eat by putting that back in me. So this is where they came up with this idea. So it definitely helped me.
That's about being your own advocate. Like, I'm not going to do that. Well, you got to help me.
Yeah. Well, and I learned with this, you have to be your own advocate, because if something doesn't feel right, you need to say it, you know, especially with this, you know, it's completely life changing. And if you don't feel right or something isn't making you feel right, you need to talk to your doctor, and you need to push them, you know, to do something that you're comfortable with. You know, I didn't do that for my surgery. My pain management, I should have fought harder for my pain management after surgery, and I kind of just went with it. And I think from that, I was like, nope, nobody's messing with me no more.
Right.
Like I'm gonna fight now for what I feel is right for me, what I feel I need. And I definitely, yeah, it's something that, yeah. Even with the double mastectomy, pain management with that too. I fought with the pain management. You know, they wanted to put me on something, and I took it a few times, and it wasn't making me feel right. I was actually like blacking out from it, like feeling lightheaded. I told them, I said, I'm done taking it. I said, give me Tylenol. You know, like,
Yeah.
they're like, well, you're still, I said, I don't care. Give me Tylenol. I'm done taking it, you know? So, yeah.
And the Tylenol helped?
It did. Not as, you know, not as much as, you know, the oxy, but I didn't like the way it made me feel.
Right. You
You
don't want to be drugged up. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like the way it made me feel. It made me feel drugged up, and I felt lightheaded. It was nauseous.
Yeah.
And truth be told, it was making me constipated. And we know what it's like to eat it. It's no fun, you know.
Especially with the gastrectomy, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, you can't eat when you're constipated. It's no place for it to go, you know.
It's a vicious circle. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. It's a vicious circle. Yeah.
Well, you sure have come a long way.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have an amazing team backing you and
I
supporting
do.
you.
I do. I love my doctors at Penn.
And a great support system, which I think is so important.
Yeah. How cool.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Good.
Yes.
Yes.
I am so intrigued about your breast surgery. I have the implants, and I just it feels so foreign. I'm so interested in what you have done.
I might have to ask my doctor about that, because I have yet to do it.
And they can remove it from other parts of the body too, from what I understand, that they can, you know, that there is other, you know, options. You know, that tram flap is just one of them. But for me, it kind of gave me a double bang for my insurance buck. You know, I got a nice tummy tuck.
I think I'm gonna call my surgeon today.
Yeah, I got a nice little tummy tuck.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it too.
But I mean, you're slender too, and I have a slender body type. I wonder.
Yeah. When she was telling me that, I thought there is no way, you know, she's gonna get that much, you know. I thought there's no way. And she kept insisting, you know, and she was right. I was surprised. Yeah. I was really surprised. She found it in there somewhere, you know.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm very, very happy with that surgery. That's for sure. It definitely gave me a boost in my confidence as well, because we all know what it's like to have that little extra skin, you know, in the midsection. So
yeah, and nice big boobs.
Yeah. Something I never had unless I was pregnant to begin with.
Yeah, right. That's how I am too. I'm pretty flat. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I have like pregnancy boobs again.
Yeah. Oh, Angie, thank you so much for
I know. Thanks for talking to me. This was great.
Yeah,
we appreciate you. You've helped us. I know that you're helping other people.
I hope so. I hope so. If anybody who's out there, you know, if they want to message me or ask me questions, or, you know, I would even share pictures, you know, if somebody wanted to see, you know, pictures of, you know, what everything looks like, even my midsection, it's healed up really nice.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Cool. And we'll keep your son in our thoughts, and just.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you can send me the name of that coffee you were talking about.
I will. I know there's like a bunch out there, but I just saw one on my Instagram the other day, so I'll send
Yeah,
you that one.
I'm gonna look into that. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Thank you
so
so much,
rest of your
Angie.
day.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.